Hi, welcome to Dice Control Dojo. I'm Phil and I practice every day, share my tips so we can all get better at the casino. Today's topic is one of the fixes that I missed. So this is going to combine all three. If you're looking at something in the air, or if it lands, or the splash, their dice reaction, I'm going to combine them all in one because I want to thank somebody who posted a comment saying something that was important, and I agree. And I want to talk about it. We're going to talk about the middle finger. So sorry about that, but we're going to talk about how important it is for the pressure between the middle finger and the thumb. And the comment was that if your middle finger is off, that's when you double pitch. I've been practicing that, and it may be true that you're going to get a double. Well, it is true. You can get a double pitch. It's not a consistent problem. I see that one dice will be off, or both dice will be one dice will be off or higher or land first. So I wanted to discuss that and how to fix it if you're finding you're having problems with one dice off, whether it's one dice higher in the air, one dice landing first, or one dice going off in a different direction than the other. This should be able to hopefully be one of the fixes. Once again, I want to say I'm a student, I'm not a teacher. I'm just talking about how I do things and fix things. So we're talking about the middle finger. And why I didn't even discuss this is because every day I mark my fingers. So when I get my gripper, I put the fingers in and I mark my dice the same place at the same spot every single day. So when somebody commented that the middle finger may be off, I was like, wow, you're right. If you're not me and you're not marking your dice before you start throwing every day, you could be gripping this dice. You could be gripping the dice every time in a different spot. And that is definitely a problem. Whether you're double pitching one off axis or not getting consistent. If you're not consistently picking those dice up the same way each time, that's why in my 1 hour practice, I use the gripper to start off so that I can paint my hands so I'm picking them up the same way each time. But what if you're at a casino? You don't have your lines. You're not doing it. You have to make sure you're picking them up the same way each time. It's so important. And one of the important things is not just getting the thumb in the middle of your throw correctly, but it's making sure you're getting your middle finger and your fingers aligned so that you can create that ledge. Now, how I do it is I'm always looking. I'm picking up the dice the same way each time, and I have the threes at the top and the fives facing me. And why the threes at the top is because when I go to grip the dice, I put my middle finger in between these two dice, and I make sure that to make sure it's in the middle, I line my end of my middle finger with this top of this number 3, the top pip. I have right lined up with that. So then when I'm at the casino and I go to grip, my outside grip, the outside of this middle finger, is aligned right with that 3 every single time. So as long as I do that, and then when I do my turn, this thumb encompasses the 2 pips that are on the 5, and then I can make sure that I have a nice, even, consistent. So it's not perfect because, of course, pips could be different on different casino dice. The casino dice could be a little different size than my dice. So you have to adapt when you're at the table. So if you're not having a gripper and you're not having the way I push my fingers together so I keep those dice tight before I move my fingers like this, right? if you're not doing that and you're picking up the dice each time, right? You have to make sure you're consistently picking them up each time. So when you're at home, I have a thought, and this is one way I was thinking of how you can make sure you're doing it right. One, I'm going to tell you, the dice are about 1.5 inches long this way, right? So not all dice are the exact same. This is like a little bit bigger than 1.5 inches, but it's about that, right? And if you measure your fingers, which I did, and I measured the distance here, it's like 1 5/8. So I have some play with it. But those are my fingers. They could be narrow than yours. They could be thicker than yours. You have to make sure that what is the mean, the middle part of those 1 5/8. And also we're humans. So that doesn't always apply. You can't use exact science to that. What's the middle of that thumb? That middle finger. Where's the middle finger? So you're picking it up right in the middle of this finger so that your middle finger and your thumb are aligned in picking up those dice the same. Well, what I did, because I've been thinking about this since the gentleman put a comment in, is how do I make sure that my dice are aligned? What if my dice are off? The way I've been setting them, maybe they're not the exact dead center and it's making one off or not. So what I did using my gripper, you don't have to use a gripper, but when I go to grip, I practiced with three different areas of the dice on the pickup, so that I had a dead center, I had one just a little off to the left, and one a little off to the right. And then I marked them down so that I practiced through 20 throws with them aligned with that first finger. As you can see, the first finger I have marked, and then the closest line I have marked. Then I did about 20 throws with in the middle, and then I did 20 throws at the end, right? So I mark these down each time. Now, if you're throwing at home and you want to see where's the best throw for your middle fingers, you have to remember something very important. When you throw, that's why I did about 20, 25 throws. I threw 20, 25 times because you're not going to throw the same way each time. If you're not like me and have like a million throws in, every time you throw, you may have had a problem. So you may have your arm swung off to the left, your arm was up, you released your fingers off. So what I would do is practice a ton, get down to a rhythm. Then once you get into a rhythm, pick one of the outside dice. Go to the first one first, and then throw like 20 times. And if you're recognizing that was off because of your arm or something, don't count it. But if you threw a real throw, right, like that, and they went together, they stayed in the air together, they landed together, that's what you're looking for. And then you can mark it off saying if that was a good throw. So then by the time you get through, you get maybe 10 good throws from that. Then change it up. Move to the middle one. I would consistently pick up the middle one over and over again and just look for those top 10 throws and see, like with that one, right? I did the middle one, which isn't my favorite one. It's one moving over. One dice was in the air. So look, it could double pitch because this one came out a little bit longer. Just make sure you're not doing anything else. You want to keep a consistent basis of throws. And then lastly, I threw on the last number, and I did about 10, got 10 good ones of them. And once again, one was off a little bit. So I found that the one throw that I've been throwing with to stay consistent was my best one. Now, you can use your gripper to make sure, if you have a gripper, you can use your gripper to make sure you're aligned with your circle and your C every single time on that throw. That'll cut out some of your missed pickups so that when you throw, look at that. They both left together. They had the right spin. They landed together. A little goofy when they hit the back wall, but it was a consistent throw. I know that that finger line is my best throw after all those throws I did for the last day or so. Those were my best throws. So I know that that's my middle finger. That's my best consistent place to pick up that dice with my finger. So with that being said, that's how I fix, or that's how I would fix throwing a dice to make sure your finger, your thumb, and your middle finger have the right middle section. That's how you can fix your middle finger. Now, lastly is no matter where you're picking this up, say you just can't get a consistent pickup or anything, that's okay. What I would suggest is making sure the minimum amount of pressure on your thumb on your ledge, let's make sure that ledge is 100% right and that your thumb is 100% right. No matter how good your pressure is, your ledge is, if your ledge has the consistent pressure, no matter where your middle finger is, you're going to get a consistent throw on a routine basis. So just, if anything, just make sure that ledge is even and you got the right pressure on all three of those dice, on all three of those fingers, and then you're going back to basics. So I hope this helped. I hope it made sense. Trying to get the middle finger in the right position for your consistent throwing. So join me. We're going to start getting ready for Vegas. We got tons of stuff for getting ready for Vegas. What do I wear? What does a live practice look like? What is our situation when we go? We're getting close, so I have to make sure I'm prepared for Vegas, and I'm going to make sure I share my tips as we move forward. So join me tomorrow, and as always, this betting strategy is great as long as you have the right middle finger and the right pressure to throw for a long, long time.